taken off Berliner and the West 1955, McDonald 1976, and the Borfi and the Ever Everest Sun and 1966. We will also examine the secondary classroom that seems to work and ends with a general statement about teacher effectiveness. A second grade class that works. In this class, students generally work and individually tailored assignments as their seats, while the teachers work with small groups for reading a variety of the materials keeps the student instead in mathematics single workbook is used to move students step by step through the basic mathematics skills. This work is supplemented by lots of the concrete experience with counting, dating, drilling, viewing, mixed cutting and other activities designed to build deeper concepts. The teacher seldom instructs the class as a whole, although the small groups are used more for reading than for the mathematics. Work is assigned according to the achievement level of each student, and all students spend quite a bit of time on drill and repetition. Students also receive rapid feedback about right and wrong answer. The teacher monitors students' progress by constantly moving around the room, watching for students who need help. The class is managed positively whenever possible through prize support and encouragement. Although the lesson are carefully planned, the teacher takes advantage of the unusual events that happen to arise. When students rush to the window to watch the first snowfall, the reason the teacher use this opportunities to teach new snow vocabulary in order to make smooth transmission transition for from the activity to another. The teacher avoid ending up rapidly. New activities are the introduced with a few sentence about why the task is important, what the objective of the lesson is, or what the classes will be doing for next few minutes. The teacher likes the students and the subject matter. Above all, the teacher strongly believes that all the students in the class can learn. A fifth grade class that works. If you spent much time in this class, you would hear the teacher asking questions, listening carefully to students' answer, explaining, explaining, probing, correcting, and asking more questions. Mainly, many of the discussion focus on short stories or articles. The whole classes has read, even though the teacher does not use individualized instruction. Each student's work is monitored, and most of the students are involved most of time in math class. The teacher works with the whole class, sometimes with small groups, but does not spend any student off to work on these their own. These students usually complete the math uh, workbook by the end of the year. Although the atmosphere of the class in the business like the teacher is willing to the capitalize on the unexpected, the discovery of some graffiti on blackboard led to class project to create moral in an appropriate place, as well as to some interesting discussion about self-expression and the limits of the individual freedom. The students understand the reason for most of the assignment they are given when the teacher gives a mini lecture and explains a concept. The presentation is generally very clear. The teacher likes and accepts the students and believe that they all can learn. A secondary class that works much less is now about effective teaching pattern in secondary grade. The 21 characteristics of effective teaching found in figure 10 to 3 may well be important for secondary teaching as well as elementary. We do not yet know for certain. We do know, however, that more lecturing, explaining, and discussing occur in the secondary classroom based upon the research from college classroom and some of the studies presented earlier using student ratings. A criteria for effective teaching, we can create a hypothetical classes, but you should keep in mind the probability that there are many patterns of effectiveness for different ages and subjects as the secondary level. An effective secondary class might have a teacher who is both well organized and aesthetic. Lectures would be clear but not too long while speaking. The teacher might move around the room, making eye contact with many of students as possible. Materials would be an appropriate level of difficulty for each student. This may require quite a range of the material, since the range of the abilities is often very large. Secondary classes to the extent possible on the teacher would tailor the lesson to fit the needs of individual students. Some students might be given the assignment, others might be given a number of choice. Still others might be told to design their own projects. A general statement about teacher effectiveness. If you teach you fourth grade students mathematics in a large group, will they automatically learn? Not if your explanations are confused or vague, not if you lose control of the class, not if you have talking to whole class become very annex and make no sense as a result. Could a dynamic, knowledgeable, well organized, aesthetic teacher have good result using less effective grouping strategy to teach mathematics? It is very possible. Could a biology teacher produce procedure produce a student who did well on achievement test at the end of the year but hated the subject so much they vowed never to dissect another animal as long as they lived? Again, it is possible. A teacher must make a number of the discussion about the organization of the classroom instruction. There are no guarantee that the methods you choose will work. In making choice, you must consider the effect the methods you choose are likely to have when used with your subject and your students. You should also consider your own strengths. Finally, you must consider the overall goals you wish to achieve. We have been we have seen the factors such as the teacher control of the class drill, factual factual question clarity, and task presentation are all associated with student learning and listed in certain classes with certain students. Keep in mind that by student learning we mean the kind of cognitive learning measured on most classroom and standardized tests. As Rosen Shine 1977 had said, his may seem like a grim picture of teaching.